And I welcome you all into this space. And for those of you who are new to this space of alignment, we gather here once a week to share contemplative practices from different traditions and from around the world. And once a month, we are so honored to have an author or an activist join us to speak in more depth about their work. And some of you may remember David Cassian Cole came and led one of those contemplative sessions with us in the fall. And David, we're absolutely delighted to have you come back now and to dig in a little further with your work. So my friends, as you feel comfortable, as you're gathering in this space for what you're about to hear, please put in the chat where in the world you're coming from. And as we're going through this time together, if any questions arise for you or any thoughts, any wonderings in your heart, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will get to those and have a little time to interact with David as well at the end. The recording is running for those who will be watching this at a later time because we gather again on Saturday or Sunday morning if you're in Australia for a time of discussion after this. Which I think is a really special thing about these author visits, that we don't just spend this little bit of time and then it's over, but we really let it sit with us and marinate with us and have a chance to regroup and see what has landed where for us. So if you can join us again in 3 days, we'll be here to chat more informally. But right now it is a great delight to hand this over to you, David, and to welcome you back to the space. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a real privilege to be back again to expand a little bit about Bede Griffiths. I'll share a little bit about my own journey and myself first before we start, not too much, otherwise I'll take up too much time from what I really want to share. But my name is David Cassian. I took on the name Cassian when I was part of a new monastic order. I was part of that order for 20 years, and I stepped out of it about 18 months ago for various different reasons. But I'd been Brother Cassian whilst I was there, but I kept that name. I had to change my name by default to have it added to my name. So I use my name as a double-barreled name now because that Cassian name is a real important part of who I am. And it's named after John Cassian, whose feast day was the end of February. And he was very influential on most of the avenues that have caused my own journey to have growths and moments of awareness, sudden wow moments. So Cassian was very significant to Celtic Christianity. That was one of my first kind of moments of resonation with something spiritual. He was very influential in the contemplative movement, both from the Eastern Orthodox tradition through the deserts and Western Christianity. He was the main influence on Saint Benedict in starting his monastic movement. It's still required reading of anyone who becomes a Benedictine monk to read all of John Cassian's books. And also the Eastern contemplative hesychasm has a real heart and root in Cassian's work. So the name just seemed to resonate with every element of what I was, where my roots had come from, my path, which is mostly over the last quarter of a century. Started off with Celtic Christianity. Through that, I discovered the contemplative tradition, through which I discovered the Christian mystics. Did a master's degree where I studied mostly the Christian mystics and Meister Eckhart in particular. Did my thesis on Celtic Christianity. And in more recent years, as my understanding, particularly through learning on mysticism, my understanding has grown in my spirituality. I discovered Bede Griffiths. My interest kind of drifted eastwards and tried the Eastern Orthodox Church for a while because I really didn't resonate with anything in Western Christianity, Catholic or Protestant. That didn't really resonate with me, but I discovered in that movement eastwards Bede Griffiths probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And Bede Griffiths was an English Benedictine monk who, in the 1950s, and then for the next 40 years, went to India and ran a Christo-Hindu interfaith ashram in India, southern India, which is still going. And I'm connected to that ashram, so I join with them once a month on their Zoom meetings. And the prior there, Father Dorothic, is my spiritual director I meet with once every now and again in a one-to-one context with. So Bede Griffiths really has been an influence on me over the last few years. And so I try to share as often as I can, as is the case here. This is my second time back and the second time talking on Bede Griffiths with folks around because I found him so in such resonance. In a moment, we're going to start with just some Sanskrit chants because that's how the meetings and the sessions at Shantivanam Ashram in India start. They all start with Sanskrit chants. We're going to do a bit of that. Hopefully my drum won't overpower the microphone from the voice. And then I'll share some thoughts particularly on the Advaita Vedanta understanding or perspective, which is the non-dualistic understanding. And I think that's really significantly important in our current cultural and political context of multiple drives towards division and othering. So the idea of it, Advaita Vedanta, the non-dualistic life perspective and philosophy, I think can be really deeply drawn into in our modern context. But I just want to share with you just a couple of books of Bede Griffiths. If you want to know, I mean, he wrote so many different books, wonderful books. But if you wanted to get into his particular interfaith thoughts and writings, then I'm going to just share with you 4 books, 3 in a series that I've got together. This one is called The Cosmic Revelation, The Hindu Way to God. This is a wonderful little book, and we've also got this one here called Christ in India, which is essays towards Hindu-Christian dialogue. And he wrote this wonderful book called The River of Compassion, which is a Christian commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. And all of those are just wonderful books. So those are the 3 that I've got as a series. And then I have this one which is a lovely, just a tiny book. The others are quite thick. This is quite tiny. This is one I drew a lot of things out of from today. This is actually his book on Vedanta and the Christian faith, the non-dualistic understanding of the Vedas, and that kind of philosophy as well. So before I get into the actual thoughts that I've got to bring with me today, I've lost the button. There we go. I wanted to start together with some Sanskrit chants. So they're very simple. I've got the words on the screen. I've got them in the English rendition of the Sanskrit rather than the actual Indian rendition of the Sanskrit. So I'm just going to pop them up. So let's just take a moment just to breathe, draw our focus and our center into this space. To become aware of our bodies in this physical space, to become aware of our mental presence, our emotional presence, and our spiritual presence. And this chant, which is one which generally starts most meetings, begins with a couple of renditions of the Om sound. So just allow that to resonate in you as you either listen or participate. Om. Om Swaha Tat Savitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya. Om. Om. Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya. Om. Om. Bhurva Swaha Tat Savitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya. Om. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Deva, Jaya Guru Krishna, Jaya Guru Krishna, Jaya 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 Guru Krishna, Jaya Guru Krishna, Jaya Guru Krishna, Jaya 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 Guru Krishna, Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Jaya 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 Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya 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 Guru Deva. Jaya Bhagavan, 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 Jaya Bhagava, 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 Jaya Bhagava. I am not the mind, intellect, ego, or memory. I am not the ears, the tongue, the nose, or the eyes. I am not space, nor earth, nor fire, nor air. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I am not the vital breath, nor the 5 vital airs. I am not the 7 bodily elements, nor the 5 sheaths. I am not speech, nor the hands, nor the feet, nor the organs of procreation or elimination. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I have no aversion or attachment, no greed or delusion. I have no pride or jealousy. I am not bound by duty, wealth, desire, or liberation. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I am not virtue or vice, not pleasure nor pain. I am not mantra, not pilgrimage, not the Vedas, nor rituals. I am neither the act of eating, the object eaten, nor the eater. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I have no fear of death, no distinction of caste. I have no father, no mother, no birth. I have no relative, no friend, no teacher, no student. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I am without change, without form. I am all-pervading, present everywhere, underlying all senses. I am unattached. I have no bondage or liberation. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. In the introduction to her book, Sri Adi Shankara's Atambodha, the self-realization, Anandamati Garuma says, from the moment one is born until the moment of death, human life is marked by a single-minded pursuit of the external world. People are always focused on the external world, never looking inwards. A human being lives through his body, interacts with the world through his body, and understands the world through his mind. And through his physical and mental interaction, with every passing moment, he forms scores of attachments and aversions, entrenched in sensory desire and pursuit of sensual pleasures. Man leads an Epicurean life from birth to death. But in the end, all these efforts bag him nothing more than an assortment of perishable worldly objects. And those too have given no more than transient pleasure. This pursuit of the physical creates in us differentiation, things we like, things we don't like. Differentiation creates division. Division creates antagonism. Antagonism creates hatred of the other, whoever that other might be. This is the result of what you might think is very simple dualistic thinking. Advaita Vedanta is the Hindu philosophy of non-dualism. The ultimate reality is the Brahman is the only truth, and the individual self, the Atman, is not separate from that, but is one with it. Not one the same as it, but one with it. Systematized most specifically by Adi Shankaracharya, which is the person who wrote the prayer that I ended that Sanskrit chants with, who was quoted in the beginning, but sometimes just called Shankara, was around in the 8th century CE. And his book, the most prominent book about this, is his hymns and poems of Advaita Vedanta. This is a lovely little book of prayers and poems, and this one is annotated by Caprius. No, I can't. It's just Caprius A. It's just a letter. His surname is just a letter on the publishing book. But his Shankara's argument is that perceived multiplicity arises from ignorance, in Sanskrit, Advaita, and illusion, Maya, the illusion of the physical world being something more than it is. Liberation, moksha, is attained through direct knowledge of one's identity with Brahman, with the ultimate reality, dissolving the false sense of individuality, the false sense of dividedness against others. Scripture readings, most notably the Upanishads, reasoning and meditative insight are central methods towards this non-dualistic thought process. Advaita Vedanta emphasizes self-inquiry, self-awareness, discernment, and renunciation as means to a realization of non-dualistic awareness. What this means, if I can give an illustration, is that we realize that we are not all separate waves on the surface of the ocean. But we come to a realization that each wave is simply an expression out of the top of the full ocean. But as you look at the surface of the ocean, you can say, well, look at that wave over there, and look at that wave over there, and that wave's a big wave, and this wave's a small wave, and that wave's about to break. And they are separate things, but the reality is it's just one big body of water. And as we live on this surface level of consciousness, our surface level of conscious awareness is that we are divided, individualistic, separate waves. But in the teaching of non-dualism, we sink down a little. And you don't have to get far down in the ocean to realize that the waves are not separate. But the other thing is that this surface level of conscious awareness, where the waves are separate, is where all the storms happen. It's where all the turbulence happens. It's where all the externals, like boats and other things, interact and interrupt the movement and the smoothness of the water itself. And again, the further down you get, the deeper you get into this non-dualistic understanding, the deeper you get in towards this one reality with the ultimate reality, the further away you get from being affected by the storms and interruptions that are happening on the surface. So this whole process of non-duality, not only does it begin with realization that we are not separate, but we are all just parts of the bigger ocean. But the further away we get from the surface level conscious awareness, the deeper we get into that ultimate reality, the Brahman, the Word, the Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the more we realize that we are less affected by those things on the surface. In his commentary, The River of Compassion, the commentary of the Bhagavad Gita that I just showed you, Bede Griffiths says, the individual self is at one with the self of every other being. That is one of the goals of yoga and Vedanta, he says, to become aware of this essential oneness in the whole creation and in every being. That is the goal. There's a well-known phrase that Jesus uses in the gospel about he and the ultimate reality he called the Father. In the Gospel of John, Jesus says, the Father and I are one. And later in the Gospels, he prays that all the disciples would be one as he and Father are one. Some people might say that that's proof of what Hinduism says about their identity with God, as if that were the equivalent to saying Taptava Asi, I am that, or I am Brahman. Taptava Asi. But Bede points out that Jesus never says, I am the Father, but I am one with the Father. It is union by communion. It's union in love. In his book, Return to the Center, which was the first full book of Bede Griffiths I read, and it's always the one that I suggest people start with, Return to the Center, Bede Griffiths states that in God, the absolute being, there is no division of any kind. He is without duality and sees and knows all things in himself as they exist eternally in identity with him. Everything, every person exists eternally in God as God. This is the truth of Advaita, a truth as Catholic as it is Hindu, Bede says. So he interprets here the Advaita, Vedanta in both the Hindu and Christian mystical context, affirming an undivided absolute being. In some lectures found on the Bede Griffiths Sangha website, which is a great place to visit, Griffiths discusses how the rational, the dualistic mind must be transcended to reach this sense of true reality. Our rational mind is always going to be divided. It's always going to be individualistic. So we must transcend this rational mind, which is actually, in my opinion, what the word metanoia means, which is badly translated into the English Bible as repent. And it's translated as repent because the Latin Bible, the Vulgate by Jerome, used the word penitential, where the Greek used metanoia. Penitential then became synonymous with being sorry for what you've done, repentant, whereas metanoia has a much deeper, more profound way. It's about transcending the rational mind into this true reality. Bede Griffiths says, when we reach contemplation, we go beyond all dualities. The rational mind is a dualistic mind, but we have to go beyond it. And in every tradition, from the Hindu and the Buddhist and the Christian, this is what he says, the movement is from dualistic religion to a non-dualistic reality. You get this sense of absolute oneness. He goes on to say, in a lecture called From Beyond the Darkness, All meditation should lead into silence, into the world of non-duality. When all the differences, all the conflicts in this world are transcended, not that they are simply annulled, but that they are taken up into a deeper unity of being. Advaita is an insight which transcends logic. It's beyond all dualities of every kind. I feel that this is experience of Advaita with all its paradox. It is this that we have to seek as the very goal of life. We need to seek this unity, this oneness, the very goal of life. He goes on to say in his book, A New Vision of Reality, in the resurrection, Jesus passed from our present state of material being and consciousness into that final state when matter itself, and with it the human body, passes into the state of divine being and consciousness, which actually sounds a lot like how the quantum mechanics conversation is currently going. This idea of ascending the idea of the physical reality into a state of pure consciousness and understanding of energy. And of course, this is what Jesus calls us to share. His relationship with God, being one with God. This transformation of our humanness, our fleshly self, and this kind of consciousness that we have, this surface level conscious awareness, the participatory consciousness, which it goes into, so this participatory consciousness where we become one with the consciousness of the divine, which goes along with how the Apostle Peter speaks in his epistles, where he talks about becoming or having participation, or to participate, depends on what version of the Bible you have, to participate in the divine nature. That's in Peter's epistles, that we participate in the divine nature. And this isn't something that happens after we die. This is something that he says is happening now. It's for us now to participate in the divine nature, here and now. This and the notion of time lead to a marvelous consequence. And a quote from Bede Griffiths fits well here. It says, it means also that our life in this world, day by day and hour by hour, has eternal value. It means that history itself, the evolution of humanity and of the world, is all part of this divine drama. The whole universe is to be taken up into the divine, along with the whole of humanity in all the stages of its history. All is part of this movement of the divine in matter, in life, in humanity. And we are all being drawn into that, such that the ultimate state is a total fullness of being as we experience the whole. And that's where it can lead us into helping in our massively divided world today. The drawing into the depths through meditation, through contemplation, Bede Griffiths says, into the depths of the divine, means that our ultimate state is a total fullness of being as we experience the whole, the Brahman, the whole ultimate divine, the divine reality. We experience the whole. Therefore, our ultimate state is a total fullness of being. We are one with ourselves, we are one with others, we are one with the divine, we're one with the world. Griffiths sought a Christian Advaita Vedanta, articulating non-duality through meditation and mystical intuition of being, and of being one with the ultimate divine reality, grounded in experience beyond our conceptual and cognitive thought. Through this oneness with the divine, we find ourselves naturally becoming one with all other people. It breaks down the divides because we are all one in the divine, and therefore we're all one with each other. and all of creation as well. And all other people are one with the divine reality as we are. And all of creation is one with reality, ultimate reality and the divine as we are. So therefore, all is one. No division, non-dualistic. There is no other. There is no other. There's no such thing as the other. We are all just one. The only other exists when we exist on the surface level of conscious awareness where we see the other wave from the point of the top of the wave. We need to draw ourselves down into the depths of the divine reality. And Bede Griffiths talks so much about this. I want to have opportunity to open out a little bit into discussion and questions, and I wanted to share some of the Sanskrit chants to get us into that. I'm going to finish in a moment just with a meditation, a mantra meditation, just to start with, to finish with, and then go into some time together. And we only have an hour, so a little introduction to Bede Griffiths' non-dualistic thinking. But the reality is that this concept could totally transform our cultural and political statement at the moment, our state as a unity, as a global community, could be totally transformed simply by this one idea. Take the ocean example and illustration and just pass that on, live that out, become one with that divine reality. There we go. So this mantra is simply, as it says at the bottom, may I be freed from Maya, the illusion. That's not how you spell Maya. There's an extra Y in there, I don't know why. The illusion of the physical reality being a real thing, being the ultimate real thing. That's what the illusion is, Maya. May I be freed from Maya, yet not from immortality. That is, not with the ultimate reality. So I'm just going to repeat this phrase a few times before we pause and then have time for reflection back in and questions. So just do some breathing. Let your breath be gentle but deep. Slow it down a little. Focus in. And if you want to follow along with this mantra, then please do. Maya Mokshaya Mamrata. 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 Maya Mokshaya Mamrata.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing
Thank you.
your practice with us. Deeply appreciate.
Thank you for inviting me back.